Gentrification is a result of white flight. White flight is when a certain ethnic group or social class um, left the downtown and urban areas for the suburbs. Uh, as a result of that, 20 or 30 years later, you see those same people that were in the suburbs coming back to communities that were, quote, uh, public housing impoverished. With that, that means somebody has to go. And that's what causes gentrification. When those people that come from the suburbs move back to the urban areas and pit those people of poverty out. And when that happens, not by just pitting them out, but you'll build a house in that community and change the rent and the property value changes where those people that originally lived there can't afford to live in those communities anymore. First starts with public meetings. So people come into your community and have all these presentations and sit down and say we met with the community 10 times and talked about this issue, this issue, this issue. And that starts the process and the ball rolling for them to get those people that have some type of subsidized housing out of that housing and somewhere else in America or in the region. But it could be as basic as, what do you want to see done in your community? In the long run, after a year of meetings, you thought you were trying to fix the streets, but you building a resume of how not to run this or run that area. So it's after public meetings, that's when your housing authority usually steps in and sends a notice. But it's staggered notices of people needing to leave the area. And as they leave, if you get a notice to move out January of 2016, that whole building comes down while the other 13 buildings stay up. Then the next building they have to vacate by March. That building will go down. And at the end, over a 2-year process, all the buildings that had 129% poverty rate are no longer there. They take the buildings one by one. But in that process of taking them down, they sneak something in on you. They sneak one small property to see how the community reacts. You say you're going to tear it down, you build something else, you sell that on the premise of you're going to build something else and see how the community reacts. If you have a favorable outcome of 100 units fully priced, and they sell out within that first 2 months off the premises of you tearing this down, you know you have a landmine of people wanting to move back downtown. But after that tester gets done with their development and find out they're sitting on a gold mine and can sell that little river, that little condo by the river, and you can walk to the game and the Amtrak station is right there, and you can get to DC, and we got more trips going to DC. You can go from here, go anywhere. It's over. That's when the developers ramp up and take over. The John Doe developers come out of the woodworks and start showing up and saying, hey, we want this 1 acre of land for 1,000 times what it's worth, and developers show up and show out and start developing these properties. That's what happens, and the properties are developed where you have no type of subsidized housing whatsoever, and you have another Ghent. You have condos, studio apartments that are $1,000 that are on the 15th floor that look directly down on the Tide Stadium, where 15 years ago, that person that lived on that property paid $6. And that's how it not usually goes. That's just how the cookie crumbles. So it's not a quick process where you're going to turn it around and you're going to have your mix or your housing value skyrocket. It's a few years. I would say at least 10, because reading about Ghent, you had to move them out, you had to change the property itself, and then you put value into it. So it's not a quick turnaround, but getting those lower incomes out is about a 2-year process, because then you want to sit there for a little while before you build your $1 million home studio. So that's how gentrification works. You don't kick them out of the house on the street, but you systematically change rent prices and things of that magnitude that make it hard for a social class or a lower social class to live in that area. They just moved you out into an area that you're not familiar with. Your children possibly are changing schools. You're just as important as a citizen of what goes on in this community as any other person. And the more we accept what's being given to us, we'll find ourselves in farm fields and farmlands and nothing to represent our true value. If we could contribute and build mixed income communities together, like purpose-built communities or the Broad Creek development, that's successful. We're not saying anything that's new. This has happened in the past. History repeats itself, and we have to do something to figure out, or it needs to be some type of law in place where we can really truly address gentrification and stop it.